Should we look at the Lincoln Project letter?
Oh, you found the letter?
Sorry, the Steve Schmidt one. My truth.
Yes, not the truth. It's his truth.
Yeah, but that's like the poet. That's what that's
yes.
the,
Yeah.
My truth. Should I read this? Or I'm going to get canceled for reading this, but I just think it's such a disgusting distraction. I won't do anything funny about it. I'll just be like, this is what he decided to tweet. Okay, to write about. It was just a touch, a light one, and it lasted only a moment. I was a 13-year-old boy at the Rock Hill Boy Scout camp. His name was Ray, and he was the camp medic. That is really, extra disgusting, by the way. The older scouts called him Gay Ray and taunted and teased us about our inevitable encounter with him when the itch of the mosquito became too much to bear. It happened almost precisely like the older kid said it would. Covered in bites, I went to the medical cabin. He told me to take my clothes off. I complied. He looked at my body and examined the bites just like they said he would. He began applying an ointment just like they said he would. I remember being paralyzed as his hands moved up my body and brushed over my penis. I remember all of this with perfect clarity up to the moment I was touched. The next part is fuzzier. I just know that I left. Then I came back to camp, and I must have had a look on my face because I remember the laughing. The look on my face must have looked familiar to the other boys because it was the same one they must have had when they returned from Ray's exam. Camp continued, and I made sure never to return to the medical cabin. When I got home, I told my parents. The adults huddled, and the collective decision they made was to deal with it internally. He wasn't turned into the police because the consensus of the adults was that dealing with law enforcement would be traumatic for all of the boys involved. In the end, we were told that Ray wouldn't return. I don't know what happened to him, and even when the day came that I had the power, money, and ability to find out and do something to him or about him, I chose not to. Something else happened in that cabin that day. The extroverted little boy who walked in died. An introverted boy with deep trust issues walked out. Before that day, I had no memory of ever feeling anger. After that day, and despite the passage of so many years, the anger has never left. It's always there below the surface. It has risen up many times over the years. Later in life, that anger would immolate my faith in the Catholic Church. My faith had been diminished to a flicker, a flame, by the time I served in the White House. I remember feeling like something that had anchored me was stolen. I felt lost in a strange way, though at the time I would never have described myself as particularly religious. I reached out to see if I could get an audience with the man who had presided over my confirmation at St. Luke's Church in North Plainfield, New Jersey. By this point, he was a Monsignor and the acting auxiliary bishop of the Metuchen Diocese. When I met with him in Washington, he was His Eminence Theodore Cardinal McCarrick. Learning that the man I trusted to share my soul and the deepest memories of my violation was amongst the most prolific of the Catholic Church's sex criminals permanently shattered my faith and left me estranged from God. It has taken nearly 16 years since that betrayal to find faith again, which I have during the process of my conversion to Judaism. What? I didn't know that. I had no idea I converted to Judaism. Welcome,
I didn't know that either until I read this little letter.
A touch on the table at age 13 that lasted seconds had been a defining event in my life. It never went away. That moment bequeathed me the three companions of my life that are always close and often present. Anger, shame, and depression. Okay, so he's basically... I don't really appreciate that as a Jew, by the way, but that's another story. Then he talks about the depression. Okay, then he talks about John Weaver. Okay, so where do we start with that? Okay, so he deals with depression. I met a man for the first time in my life in late 2006. His name was John Weaver. I met him at a fundraiser for Arnold Schwarzenegger, where John McCain was the headliner at the end of the 2006 campaign. I arrived at that event with Arnold, and I left with McCain. Within months, under Weaver's leadership, the campaign had collapsed and was bankrupt. During all the time I worked for John McCain, I never heard a single person whisper that John Weaver was a predator. I did not have a professional relationship with John Weaver until December 2019. I've said on the record that I learned about John Weaver's misconduct with an underage boy this past January. I know this is true, and I have certainty that the Lincoln Project independent investigation into John Weaver's conduct will validate this. My purpose in writing this isn't to express what and when I knew about John Weaver, but how I feel about him, what he did, and how many people he hurt. This is my truth. John Weaver has put me back into that faraway cabin with Ray. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I am incandescently angry about it. I am angry because I know the damage that he caused to me. And I know the journey that lies ahead for every young man that trusted, feared, and was abused by John Weaver. Shouldn't that be before? Like, more important than the damage, like the anger?
Yeah, you would think that the apology towards the young man would come before his experience from 40 years ago or whatever it was.
He's angry because the damage that he caused to him.
Yeah, it's how he felt. It's all about them. It's all about the anger and the diminishment of them, not about anybody else. I mean, and that's what they have to constantly. That's how they kind of equate all of this, is because how they are feeling.
Right. I know the shame, the guilt, the doubt, the depression, and anger that lies ahead. I know John Weaver will be a lifelong companion for them in the way that Ray has been for me. I detest John Weaver in a way I can't articulate. My heart breaks that young men felt unseen and unheard. It's too bad they didn't see Jill Biden's scrunchie. And unheard in an organization that I started. I am ashamed of it. I promise that we will release the full findings of what we discover through an independent investigation. There is another truth about John Weaver of which I must speak. Like all predators, he is a skilled liar. And like all predators, he left clues. I had the surreal experience in the last month of being grilled by a national newspaper about my knowledge of John Weaver's misconduct. When I got off that call, I talked to another reporter from the same newspaper who said the newspaper has known for years. Since John Weaver's misconduct was made public, I learned about another national reporter that was going to write about Weaver, but then was ultimately dissuaded to do so by Weaver because he had told the reporter that his cancer had returned and he had just 6 months to live.
That's why I told you about his heart attack. Yeah. He does this all the time. Yeah.
I was asked by a reporter if I thought the heart attack he told us about was real. The truth is, I don't know. I responded by saying that I don't know if he lives in Texas. I just don't know that he's. I don't know if he lives in Texas. I just know that he's a liar and a predator, and I wish our paths never crossed. Unfortunately, they did. I wish John Weaver was not a co-founder of the Lincoln Project, but as hard as I wish for that to be, I can't change that he was. I'm enormously proud of the Lincoln Project. Why is this? Why are you talking about this?
It's got literally nothing to do about anything. Wait, it's going to go into now. Worse, right? It's going to go now into his culpability, not about John Weaver, but about the only female co-founder who was so. Yeah. Okay.
I'm enormously proud of the Lincoln Project and what we have accomplished to date. I believe we built the most successful and politically lethal, to the Republican Party, not to Trump, lethal super PAC in history. We built a movement with millions of people, and we played a decisive role in Donald Trump's defeat. During these last weeks, I've been consumed by anger and rage as I've seen the attacks from the rancid collection of liars, thugs, and fascists, including Donald Trump Jr. and Laura Ingraham, attack the Lincoln Project, my character, and the character of my friends over John Weaver's amoral predations. It's kind of a weird understatement, amoral predations. I'm in a tough, like they're moral predations?
Right.
I'm in a tough business, and I know what I signed up for. I'm long past the moments of fear that gripped me when FBI agents showed up at my house to tell me I was on the hit list of the Trump bomber. The truth is that these attacks awakened all of my old companions at once: shame, anger, and depression. For those around me, it is the anger that has been most visible. For those who love me, it has been the depression. Either way, it has not brought out my best self. I'm not the daily manager.
This is a diary entry that we are forced to read. This is Dear Diary. Today, Jimmy kicked me at the playground, and now we are all forced to read to it as part of a public apology. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Either way, it has not brought out my best self. I'm not the daily manager of the Lincoln Project, but I am the senior leader. As the senior leader, it is my responsibility to set an example and to assume accountability. I would like to apologize to Jennifer Horn. I let my anger turn from a business dispute into a public war that has distracted from the fight against American fascism. I love hearing these people talk about fascism. Jennifer was an important and valuable member of our team. Truth be told, I didn't interact with Jennifer very often, but I always enjoyed the occasions when we did. She deserved better from me. She deserved a leader who could restrain his anger. I'm sorry for my failure. Yesterday, I was shown the correspondence between Jennifer Horn and Amanda Becker, a reporter at the 19th News. I was told it came from an anonymous source. That direct message should never have been made public. It is my job as the senior leader to accept responsibility for the tremendous misjudgment to release it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
So can you, I apologize on behalf of the organization to both Jennifer Horn and Amanda Becker. I woke up this morning and realized I have been fighting for a long time. It's taken a toll and I'm tired. So can you remind us what the thing was between Becker and...
Becker reached out to Amanda Horn and said, Amanda Becker reached out to Jennifer Horn and said to Jennifer Horn, can you speak about the Lincoln Project and you're leaving and whatever, and they're having a correspondence. Jennifer Horn does not tell her a lot in those correspondence, but basically because Jennifer Horn has an NDA like everyone else in the Lincoln Project does. And so she's talking about, she says in the conversation, like, I have to speak to my lawyers about this. I'm very upset with their response, though, to saying I wanted money. There's not like a big like mic drop in the conversation, but allegedly, according to people I've spoken to, they were looking for leakers through almost everybody at the Lincoln Project. So this is like the first one maybe they found. I don't know about that, but this is the first one that they revealed publicly. And Steve Schmidt clearly knew that this tweet was going out. He's talking about it right now. So the tweet the Lincoln Project had was, earlier this evening, we became aware that Amanda Becker of 19th News was preparing to publish a smear job on the Lincoln Project with the help of Jennifer at New Hampshire Jennifer. You hear a lot of talk about hit job journalism, but rarely do you get to see the origin of the story. Enjoy. And then he tweeted screenshot by screenshot every single thing that Amanda and Jennifer Horn were talking about.
A Twitter account late on Thursday published and then quickly deleted private conversations between journalist Amanda Becker and Jennifer Horn, a Lincoln Project co-founder, who left following the accusations against Weaver. Horn said the messages were published without her permission. And then 19, the nonprofit newsroom reporting on gender, politics, and policy, vowed to continue its reporting on the group. We're not going to be bullied or intimidated out of pursuing critical journalism.
It's from Jennifer's account. So right, clearly, yes.
And then she writes, "Hey, Twitter Jack, Twitter support, I did not give consent." That's what she tweeted. I got it. So they doxed her, right? Like you were saying earlier.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. Yashar Ali says, "I've asked Twitter if the Lincoln Project tweeting out the private DMs of an outside party is a violation of their terms. Neither party in the screenshots appears to have given consent. There are other questions about if there was a violation of federal law." Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. The question, because Twitter said, no, this is not a violation, tweeting leaked DMs, which is absurd.
Right.
But it apparently is, according to George Conway, it is a federal crime.
Right. And because he left them, so he doesn't like them, right?
I think he likes them, but he left them because of his daughter and, her going on TikTok and, talking about their family. And that's why I think he left, allegedly.
Yeah. Oh, they're so gross. Yeah, I'm looking. They publish these things. He wrote, "This looks on its face to be a violation of federal law and should be taken down immediately." So he criticized the Lincoln Project for
tweeting that.
Right. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Disgusting people. Yeah. And they didn't even reveal anything in it. Anyway,
no, there's nothing super revealing. It's just the fact that she was corresponding with her for the article.
Yeah, and the fact that they just published it.
Yeah.
Okay. So he apologizes. "I apologize on behalf of the organization, both Jennifer Horn and Amanda Becker. I woke up this morning and realized I've been fighting for a long time. It's taken a toll. I'm tired." Again, the victim. "Presently, the Lincoln Project board is made up of 4 middle-aged white men." Oh, God. Get ready for the wokitude, okay? "That composition doesn't reflect our nation, nor our movement. I'm resigning my seat on the Lincoln Project board to make room for the appointment of a female board member as the first step to reform and professionalize the Lincoln Project. The Lincoln Project was built to fight. It is my deepest hope that despite the recent internal events that have distracted from our cause, you will entrust in us to continue to fight for what the entire Lincoln Project movement believes in, combating the rise of fascism and authoritarianism in this country. We are one election away from seeing the end of democracy. We are one election away from seeing the end of American democracy." By the way, they said that last time.
Yeah.
"This fight will go on for the rest of my life. For me, it's time to step back from the front, to get healthy mentally, physically, and spiritually. I look forward to being on Real Time with Bill Maher tonight on HBO, and then to taking some much-needed time off. Stay strong. There's much work to be done, Steve." So wait, I just want to make sure. Okay, so I'm
So he's
I'm even
plugging his hit.
angrier than I was before. So this
Yeah.
guy tweets this before going on Maher.
Yep.
And Maher doesn't even think
him.
that it's a relevant thing to ask him about? Hold on.
Guess not.
All right. That is I'm sorry. That's so fucking upsetting.
Yeah.